Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to this week's video. This is something I'm very excited for. Today we are finally making a ring out of a jet turbine blade. I've been wanting one of these for years. Finally got one. Big thank you to my friend Stu for finding this for me and sending it to me. This is awesome. I'm not even sure what alloy this is, but we're gonna try to do our best to maybe figure a little bit of that out. His company is Yellow Mug Inc. I'll have a link to him down in the description. Thank you so much, Stu, for making this possible. I met him at a convention this year. Really cool guy. Thank you so much, Stu. Really excited for this. It has a thick section on it that should be just perfect for making a ring. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first I'm going to cut the turbine blade in half. That's going to separate off the thicker section of it. That's what I'm actually going to make the ring out of because there's enough material there to work with. And it doesn't really show well on camera, but this was a pain to cut through. It took a really long time. This alloy is not something I've ever worked with, that's for sure. Very challenging to work with. And you'll see from here on out, every single step of the way was just a big challenge. Now, after studying the piece for a couple of minutes and finding a section that I think will work best, I use my compass and I go ahead and mark a circle. Now, the reason I chose to cut the ring out from this section specifically is because on the side of this piece, there's actually a couple of numbers and letters, which if I'm lucky, I might be able to preserve a couple of them in the final ring. Now, doing that cutting with the angle grinder made me nervous for the rest of this project because that was not easy. That means we've got a lot of work cut out for ourselves to try to machine this thing down to a ring blank, and it's still such a weird irregular shape. So I'm going to have to do a lot of grinding, cutting, etc. to this just to get to the point where I've got a cylinder that I'm working with, which is where I usually start the ring making process in general. So quite a challenge. So all in all, I spent about 4 hours just grinding, sanding, and shaping this blank just so I could get it to the point where I put it in the lathe. At this point, the grinding was taking a really long time. I decided to try something else out. So I got my diamond wheel attachment for my angle grinder. I threw the piece in the vise and just started grinding away at it. I didn't have super high hopes for this method, but this was taking so long to this point that I was really just kind of desperate for anything that would help. So I spent about 10 or 15 minutes on this and then just decided to switch back to the belt grinder anyways. I still wasn't able to figure out what exact alloy this turbine is made out of, but whatever it is not easy to work with, I can assure you that. Now I don't have the blank completely to the point where I usually like to get it before I throw it in my lathe, but this was taking so long that I was just desperate for any shortcuts I could take. So I just threw it in there, I used carbide tooling, and I just went for it. So I got my hole started with my tungsten carbide center drill. It actually made pretty quick and easy work of it. Then I tried to switch over to a drill bit and it did nothing. It wouldn't even scratch the material. It was just instantly making my drill bit dull. So very quickly I switched back to the tungsten carbide center drill and it was rubbing a lot, so it stalled out the lathe a bunch of different times. It probably took 20 minutes just to cut this one hole. But that was the only thing I had that would even work on this material, so I just kept at it until I had that hole. Now it's time to bore out the center, finally, thank goodness. I'm able to use my tungsten carbide boring bar here. So again, that made pretty quick work of this. I was just able to continue to widen the diameter of the hole until I got it to the point where I wanted. Now I'm able to throw it on one of my Patrick Adair Supplies expanding ring mandrels and we can begin working on the outer diameter. And you can see a couple of letters still on the ring blank piece. This was a really good sign at this point. I did know that some of those I would have to machine away, but it's starting to look promising. I think I'm going to be able to get a couple of those letters or numbers to show up in the final ring. Now these next steps are not super pretty. Look away if you must. But just slowly, I started to just hack away at this piece. I probably broke 6 or 7 tungsten carbide bits doing this. So that means I had to use 12 blade size just for this one ring, and usually I don't even finish one bit. Now slowly but surely, we were able to get this thing to start looking like a ring. Very promising, very fulfilling to get to this step. And you can see we've even got a 6 and a 3 still left on the ring that we should be able to leave there until we're done. So now I want to put bevels on this ring, but before I do that, I like to give a final finish on the outer diameter of the ring. That way, once I put the bevels on the ring, I don't have to go back and do any sanding at that point. If I were to do that, it would just kind of round over the bevels and just make them not look as good. So the outside is pretty much done at this point. We're gonna go back and do a little bit of polishing off camera, but that's it. Let's go ahead and get started on the inside diameter of the ring. I'm gonna get it up to size and round over the edges to give this a nice, comfortable finish. Then finally, I'll repeat the same exact polishing steps for the inside that I used on the outside. And this thing is finished. Check it out, this metal alloy did a very good job of holding a polish. It is super shiny. I have not noticed it oxidizing in any way, so it actually looks like it's a great material for a ring. It is extremely scratch resistant. So this really does make quite a functional ring. I think it looks great, and I think it was so cool that we were able to preserve the 6 and the 3 that were stamped onto the side of this. To me, this is proof that this actually was made from a jet turbine, which just makes this ring that much cooler. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for Stu for providing the material. I'm actually going to be sending this ring to him, so thank you so much, Stu. Also, by the way, we are probably posting this video around the time of Black Friday. That means our Black Friday sale is probably going on our website. I'll have a link to my website in the description. It's just patrickadairdesigns.com. Our Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales are our biggest deals of the year. You'll get the absolute best discounts that we ever offer. So if you're interested in purchasing a ring, now's probably a good time to do it. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to you watching this video. There's just a few of you guys that make it to the end. So thank you guys so much for your support.